Hi everyone, and a huge warm welcome to today's video. And it's an exciting video today because I'm going to give you a full tutorial and show you how to make your own crochet tulips. I'm also going to share a link to the written pattern that's on the Lucy Cake Crochet website, totally free as always. So if you prefer to follow along at your own pace doing that, then that's fine too. Just hop on over there. But if you prefer to follow along on YouTube, then today we're going to look step by step at how to make your own lovely realistic tulip flowers. Let's dive right in. Okay, let's get to it. So here's what you're going to be making. So we've got one example here without the leaf and one with the leaf. And we're going to be making up the example with the leaf. The reason I'm showing you both is simply that I think when you make a collection of them, it looks even nicer if you have some variation. So you have one leaf on some, no leaves on some, maybe two on others. So just to give you an idea of the variation, there you go. So what you'll need for this pattern is some nice brightly coloured double knit yarn, some nice green yarn for the stem. I prefer for tulips quite a brightly coloured one. You're going to use a 3mm crochet hook, assuming that you're using acrylic DK yarn. You're going to need some scissors or a yarn cutter, and we're also going to use a pipe cleaner, and this pipe cleaner is going to enable you to make the stem of your tulip nice and rigid. We're going to begin by making 4 identical petals. So pop that over there. Now find the end of your yarn. Now, lots of people do some fancy cool winding with their yarn. I basically don't bother. I find the end either in the middle or at the edge, and generally I actually drop the whole thing on the floor and then it just unravels nicely. But if you want to be a bit neater about it, there's yarn bowls and things you can do, but don't worry about that today. So what we're going to do to begin with is we're going to make a magic circle of 8 stitches. So I make my magic circles by dropping my yarn over, wrapping it twice around the middle fingers, and then pinching here. I'm going to take your hook, I'm going to stick it through, pick up the yarn and pull it through, pick up the yarn and pull it through. So what that's done is made a nice little noose for you, and into your noose you're going to work 8 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't know if you can hear that clicking. That is my rings. I normally take them off before I film because they're quite audible. Let me know if that's irritating, do. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to close this magic ring up. So you're going to pinch the bottom of where you started and pull one strand until it's disappeared, and then pull the tiny little tail until the ring is completely closed. And what we're going to do now is we're going to increase our circle by putting 2 single crochets into each stitch. Now if you're unsure which one the starting stitch is, just count backwards 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can see that that is your first stitch that you need to put the hook through. So we're going to make 2 single crochets in each of those stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the next, 5 and 6 in the next, 7 and 8 in the next. So we're halfway around the circle. 9 and 10 in the next. Oh, that was a bit tight, wasn't it? 9 and 10 in the next. 11 and 12 in the next one. 13 and 14 in the next. And 15 and 16 in the next. There we go. I'm just going to pull this tail to tighten the ring a bit. Lovely stuff. So that's our second round already done. So magic circle of 8 stitches, and then we put 2 single crochets in each of the 8 stitches, which doubled the stitch count of the round to 16. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mark the stitch that we just made, because we're going to make rounds 3 to 8, each just having 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I don't have a stitch marker to hand, so I'm literally just going to cut off the tail of the yarn there and use that to mark the stitch. So there we go, little trick for you there. That's your stitch marker. Pop your hook back in there, and now we're just going to work around, as I said, making a single crochet into each of these stitches. And what you want to watch out for here is that you remember which is the right side, so the one that you're going to want exposed on each of the petals when you've finished. And the right side of your crochet is always the one that is facing towards you when you're crocheting. So we're going to go all the way around this circle now until we get to the end of round 8. So what you can do is pause the video here. I'm going to speed up on editing, and we'll whiz round the edges of the petal until we get to that round, and then you can join me again, unpause, when you've got to the end of round 8. So that's one single crochet in each of the stitches. And remember, once the sides start to build up, so you're making a little cup, just invert that cup so you've still got the right side of the crochet as the one that is going to be the exposed side. So I'll meet you here for the start of round 9. Now the next round is going to be your first decrease round, and that means you're going to single crochet 2 together, and you're going to do it for every stitch to bring that round count back down to 8. So as you can see, what I'm going to do is move my stitch marker to mark our stitch, shall we? There we go. Right, now we're going to do our decreases, and these are really, really important when we're working in a round. So let's have a nice look here. So we're going to put our hook through the next stitch, pick up the yarn and pull through, and then immediately through the next stitch along, pick up the yarn and pull through, and then join all of those together. So that's single crocheting 2 together. So let's see another one of those. Pick up the yarn and pull through, pick up the yarn and pull through, and then through all 3 loops, just like that. So you're going to do that all the way around the edge until you get back to your stitch marker. So that's 8 single crocheting 2 together for this round. So we're taking our stitch count from the round from 16 back down to 8 again. There we go, final 2, and the last one should be the one that you've marked the stitch for. There we go. Right, so we're now going to move our stitch marker. We're going to put that into the last one that we made. So that's that single crochet 2 together stitch. I'm going to mark that stitch. Ta-da! Right, now we're going to make 2 rounds of just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So the work's getting a lot smaller now. I do recommend, however you generally feel about stitch markers, marking for this one, unless you have an amazing ability to keep count and 0 distractions, because what's really important with flowers is symmetry, and you want each one of these 4 petals that you're going to make to be exactly the same. And if you muck up with your stitch count, it can end up looking slightly varied between the petals, which, whilst on a lot of things that you make, it's not the end of the world when that happens. With a flower, I really do think symmetry plays quite a big role in making your crocheted item look like the thing that it's meant to look like. And with this flower design, we really are going for something that looks like a tulip. Okay, so we've come all the way around now, 2 rounds of single crochets. Now this is where it's going to get fiddly. You're going to do 4 single crochet 2 togethers. So you're going to almost, but not quite, close this circle. You may find at this point that you're actually only capable of doing 3 single crochets 2 together. And that is fine, because what you're going to do after this is attach a needle and just sew it closed. Okay, so it tapers off to the point, and this is your nearly complete flower. What you're going to do now is cut a nice big train of yarn, just like that, and you're going to get your yarn needle. Could I tell you, try crocheting standing up over a desk sometime. That is not the easiest thing. Okay, so the first one that I do, I put it through from the inside out to hide the knot, and then I'm just going to sew each of those next pairs of stitches together until your petal reaches a nice point. And there you go. What I do now is I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go back into the petal, push it through all the way to the bottom and out, and then you can use that as part of your sewing together later. So what you're going to do now is you're going to jump back in the video and you're going to make 3 more of these, and then we're going to join them up. Okay, now we've got our 4 petals and we're going to attach them together, and to do that we're going to use our needle and the tail of yarn from one of the petals. So what we're going to do is just thread that needle like this. So what we're going to do is join them together in an overlapping fashion. So at the end what we're going to have is each one overlapping, overlapping and overlapping. Oh, what have we done there? There we go. Overlapping in a line like this that we're then going to join all the way around and together. So let's do these one at a time. So let's start with this one. This is our beginning one. So we're going to put the needle out at the edge, approximately a stitch from the edge, just there. I hope that's come up sharp enough for you. And we're only going to sew through 1 layer of this circular fabric. And what that's going to do is just disguise our stitches a bit better for us. And you don't have to be the world's most amazing hand sewer for this to look good. All you have to do is attach these nice and tightly. I'll try and keep my hands in a place where you can see what I'm doing as we go around the edge. And bring that up and through. Nearly lost my needle there. So through just 1 layer there, so you can't see it coming out the other side. Pull it through, and then on the equivalent side on the other petal. Now we're going to leave those little open ends like that because they are not together in their flower, are they? So we're going to pop that needle all the way through and out the other side of that second petal. And then from there, we're going to attach the next one in exactly the same way, but instead, because of where the needle emerged, we're going to be going down rather than up. So I put a light there for you, so hopefully you can see as I go where that's coming in and out. Do tell me in the comments section if this is tricky to follow or easy, because I'm going to be making quite a few more tutorials on these flowers, and if there's an aspect of it that you think I could improve without investing £1 billion in lighting equipment. I'm afraid this is a desk lamp that we're using today and my phone as a camera. There we go, all the way around, tucking it in neatly. So we're not joining all the way up to the magic circle, but we're getting about a round away from it. And so just like before, we're going to go back into that other petal and out the other side. There we go. And that final one's going to attach. And here it is. Let's pop that on together. So we're trying to keep them nice and level. Can you hear that wind outside? There's been a lot of storms around here over the last couple of days. Okay. Thought for a second that I'd mucked up, but we're good. No worries. Right. In and out over that final layer there, remembering to stop where you decreased. I think we can get one more in for this one. There we go, look at that. Right, So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the whole thing together. We're going to wrap this all the way around so that the pattern continues. So if you can see where that's overlapping, so we want that to be overlapping there for the final part, don't we? Try not to go off camera for you, sorry. Right. Stitching through all the way down. Look at that. Nearly done already. So the crocheting this is definitely the most time consuming part. So now you've got your lovely little top section of your tulip. Just give it a tiny bit of a squish with your hand to manipulate it into the position you want. Now you're going to slightly close these ends, but you don't have to go nuts, because what we're going to do is add a stem in a minute. So I'm just going to take all those other ones off. Now remember, we threaded those all the way through, so they've got a nice bit of loose yarn inside, even though we've taken them apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring that needle all the way through and just pull it in a little bit more tightly at the base. So that secures it to look like the head of the flower, but it also helps to bring that shape together. Oh, where you've got bends, it can be a little bit stiff, but not to worry. There you go. So there's your bottom part and your top part. Just give it a little bit of a squidge to manipulate it into the shape that you're going for. So there's your head of your tulip. And what we're going to do now is make the stem. So we're going to need to move onto the green yarn. And the stem, if you're used to crocheting things like blankets, you're going to find this dead simple. And let's make a chain. Oh, I can't remember if it's 31 or 36 stitches. So it's 30 plus 1 or 35 plus 1. So let's count up that chain of stitches. Good stuff. Right, so that one is your first stitch of the next round. So you're going to go into the second loop, and we're just going to put a single crochet all the way along this chain, and then when we get to the end, we're going to turn it over, make another chain, and go all the way back, and we're going to do that 3 times. So you can see that this chain is curling up as I'm working it. Don't worry about that at all. That's going to flatten out as you add to your rounds of single crochets. So we're at the end of the row. All you're going to do now is chain 1 for your first stitch of the next row, and then flip it over, and you're going to make 1 single crochet, missing that first stitch, 1 single crochet all the way back down the line. Flip it over again, chain 1, and make a row of single crochets again. And I'm going to meet you back there when you've done that section. And we're back. Here's your little bit of crocheted fabric. Now what we're going to do is just cast off. So cut a nice long length of this, because remember, we're going to sew it together. What we're going to do now is make sure that we've got the right length of pipe cleaner. And pipe cleaners might look like they're tough, but they cut with regular scissors. Although I tell you what, they don't cut with yarn cutters. I've tried that before. Neither does cotton yarn particularly well, out of interest. So see, nice and straightforward. Now, these will have slightly spiky ends. You can roll them down if you want to, but generally, as long as you've got it slightly shorter than the bit of crocheted material, they hide inside nicely and then they don't hurt. Now, you see you have a loose end at the other end. You can cut that short, but I'm always loath to cut things too short. So what I try to do is lay it within there, and then it's hidden inside. And then if you need to redo it further down the line, if it comes a little bit unraveled, you've got that there. Right, so line that up nicely, and then just pinch these sides. And the way that I sew this together, goodness, I hope you can see this, is I stick the needle through from the inside out each time. And what it seems to do is make a nice close. So I'll show you the first few of those. Nice and close up. Hopefully that's visible. So the main fiddly part is holding it tightly so that your pipe cleaner in the middle doesn't pop out. Okay, so now we've got to the end, and what we're going to do is attach the stem onto the flower. Now, you have a choice. What I like to do initially is to stick the needle straight through the center of the tulip, pull it up, straight back down again, and catch it through one of the edge stitches there. Make sure that you've got at least 1 or 2 stitches through each of those petals so that it's really nice and snugly in place. And then what I recommend that you do with the tail of your yarn is simply post it up through the stem, a few stitches like that, and then you can cut it off there. And then you'll have that little loose end there again if anything goes wrong later. There is your tulip, and I've got to say, given that I did that at an angle that it's quite hard to crochet at, that is not half bad, is it? Okay, and now finally what we're going to do is we're going to make his lovely little leaf. We're going to make a chain of 31 stitches. So here we go. Chain of 31 stitches. 1, 2, 3, back with the squeaking. 4, 5. Okay, and now we're going to work into it, and we're going to work into each side of our chain. So we're going to begin by making 5 slip stitches. So you pick up the yarn and then you pull through both. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to make 5 single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to make 5 half double crochets. And if you're not familiar with that, yarn over, through the loop, pick up and pull through. And instead of going through 2 loops and then the remaining loops, you're going to go through all of them. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, through everything. So that's 2 half doubles, 3 half doubles, 4 half doubles, 5 half doubles. We're now going to make full double crochets. So you see through the first 2 and then the second 2. So that's 1 full double crochet. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you can see that that's trying to curl again. Don't worry about that at the moment. Okay, and then we're going to reverse what we've just done to complete the leaf. So we're going to make 5 half doubles, 1. That's right in your way though, isn't it? 2, 3, 4, and 5. And finally, I'm going to make a single crochet in each stitch until, don't yarn over for your single until the end, and then we're going to make 3 for the turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 in the end, 1. Now you need to get that little tail of yarn out of your way as you work. 2, 3. And then we're going to reverse it on the way back. So where we did singles before, we're going to do singles, and when we did halves, halves, and doubles, doubles. So let's work our way back down that leaf in exactly the same pattern. Right, and then you've got your long leaf, and what you're going to do with your leaf is you're just going to sew it at the points that you think look best onto your tulip. Now, the first thing that I recommend that you do is cast off and sew the tail at the top end into the leaf. Now you can do this with a crochet hook if that's your preference, but I think it's a bit quicker like this. And what we do is we just take that and just go in and out at those edge stitches like this. So what it will do is it'll give a slightly heavier, more defined edge to one side, but honestly it's only really very slightly, and I don't think it looks bad at all. And what it does is it hides your yarn tail very effectively for where you cut it off. Look at that. Right, now you're going to use the long tail. So what I like to do is a couple of points so it's not firmly attached to it and it gives it a more natural look. And then I go through the stem with the needle, just like we did to hide the tail at the other side, and come out a bit further along. Pull that through. We're going to do another stitch or two here. You can see that's one of the increase points. I do fear on this example that I haven't lined those up perfectly for you, so I'm sorry about that. We'll have a look at the not made standing up examples again at the end for you. So here we go, and a couple more just near the top to tie it in nicely. And then that goes into the body of there, all the way down and out. Nice and secure. Snip it off. And that's it. So now we have a beautiful tulip flower. And there we have it. How to make your very own bunch of tulips. I hope that you have enjoyed that one. It's really nice to make something that's a bit more natural, and there's going to be a lot more flower tutorials to come, and I can't wait for you to join me there. So I hope that's been helpful and that you've really enjoyed following along. It's my first time doing this format of tutorial, so please do let me know in the comments section below. What did you love? What did you think might be better being a little bit different next time? I really value your kind comments. They mean a lot to me, and they're really helpful for the channel as well. So as I said at the beginning, you can totally find the full written pattern on the website if you want to review it again afterwards. And let me know, how did your flowers go? How did they look? What colours did you pick? Tulips are brilliant, aren't they? You can have them in so many different colours. I can't wait to hear about it. Tag me on Insta if you want to show me your photos, or pop them onto our Facebook group. And yeah, yay, happy crocheting. Flowers.